Okay, let's move on here. Media story. This one is really, really interesting. So let's go ahead and put it up there on the screen, which is that it has now been revealed the Washington Post is now not profitable for the first time in years. Probably the New York Times tear sheet up there on the screen. By the way, what I found funny, Krystal, and the Post people were very upset about this, is the Times not only published this story, they also did a push notification to everybody's phone, just as a little bit of a screw you to their main competitor. They made sure to note
in this piece too that, by the way, the New York Times subscriptions have continued to expand.
That's very true. And let's actually go into the numbers because this is fascinating. So the Washington Post is losing money in 2022 after years of profitability. The Post has now fewer than 3 million paying digital subscribers that it had hailed internally near the end of 2020. And the Post fell to roughly $70 million in revenue for the first half of the year, 15% lower already than the first half of 2021. All of this is ascribed to what? No more Trump, no more good for business. And the truth is that the news media business in terms of politics has been suffering now for 2 years, excepting us truly over here, of which I'm actually incredibly proud of. The reason why is that all of these companies have effectively had to turn to non-news sources to make money. And the Post thought that people cared so much about Trump, specifically these liberal resistance types, that they would continue to pay for actual information whenever he was gone off of the page. All of the democracy dies in darkness branding and all of that did not save them whenever Trump ultimately disappeared, at least for a while, off of the American political scene. And
he's back, so maybe that'll rescue them.
Maybe it will, but that ain't something that you should be betting your entire business model on. What really comes through in this article is a couple of things. Number one, you guys will remember Felicia Somnes Gate, which is that the Post, for some reason, just seems to have a very tough time asking its employees to do something and them complying. So they have a policy where they want their people to come into the office 3 days a week, but apparently huge swaths of their reporters are like, no, I don't want to do that.
I support that.
I mean, sure, you can support it if you want, but I think it's crazy that the boss is so afraid of firing or even reprimanding these individuals, he won't do it in written form and wants it called because he doesn't want it to get leaked.
But also, that's not really the problem for the Post.
Oh, totally.
People aren't in the office enough.
Yes.
I mean, and that's part of the issue, that comes through in this thing is this dude is focused on all the wrong things. He's measuring how many meetings they're having and stuff as if that's the problem with the Washington Post right now. Also, where's Jeff Bezos' brilliant business acumen? And what's going on here? Why isn't he intervening to come up with a better business model for these people?
Well, it's actually a great question.
Yeah, I mean, because this is under his watch that has gone from being highly profitable to not.
Well, so they weren't profitable whenever he bought it, and it became profitable. His whole idea was that we will create a back-end system of which we can license other papers. I think it's made some money. I don't think it's made a hell of a lot of money. I think it makes more money than whenever he bought it. It had been losing money for a long time. But yeah, it's true. I mean, at the end of the day, what they point to is Bezos basically lost interest. He's like, yeah, whatever. And every once in a while, he used to apparently log on for a weekly meeting. He doesn't do that anymore. He's hanging out in Saint-Tropez. Who amongst us isn't doing that? So Bezos lost interest in his vanity project.
Dismantling bridges to get a super yacht.
Owned it for 9 years. Yeah, he's retired from Amazon. He's been hanging out with his girlfriend and taking Instagram photos. So that's what his priority seems to be. He no longer really cares about the reputational laundering. And he apparently has made it known that he's not very happy. Now, what that means is that they are looking to fire a hell of a lot of people at the Washington Post, which is certainly something in the 2022 age, just considering the boom that these people experience. And I think Josh Barrow had a really interesting write-up. Let's put this up there on the screen. He says, digital revenue dies in drunkenness. Really what he points to is that the Post, at the end of the day, refused to pivot to lifestyle-type content, which floats these quote-unquote news organizations in the downtimes. And he points to the New York Times buying Wordle. The New York Times, people don't know this, they make more money off of their subscription for cooking, for crosswords and games, than for news. The crossword and the cooking section floats the reporters, not the other way around.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle brand. Now, that's a problem politically and socially. Personally, I think, with everybody thinks having a Time subscription makes you a better person. I listen to the Daily, I'm so informed. But from a business perspective, great idea. right?
Yeah.
Add on NYT. People are obsessed with that New York Times cookbook. I mean, I think it's fine. I don't really get why.
Those podcasts have been very successful too.
Podcasts been a boom. They've got documentary deals, I think, with FX.
That's right.
But they're very entrepreneurial, is what I'll say. They understand that they're a lifestyle brand. They're willing to lean completely into it. They know that their Wordle paying subscribers are people who would never even read a Maggie Haberman piece at the Times, and they don't care because they'll take your money either way. Also, they make it very difficult to cancel, which I think is hilarious. You have to call.
Oh, really?
They won't just let you cancel your membership. So they have all kinds of way of locking people in and upselling folks as well. But the Post thought that people would pay for only political news. Well, unfortunately for them, only political news, that's really just not that much of a differentiated product at this day and age. If the Post wanted any success, their democracy dies in the darkness stuff would have had to pivot exactly like the Times did to gaming, to crosswords, to cookbooks, to podcasts. They haven't been able to do any of that.
Yeah, well, and that's what Barrow points to is it's like, I thought it was a no-brainer for the Post to buy Wordle.
Yeah.
And then New York Times swoops in and does it. So it's sort of basic business sense, putting the politics of it aside, you got to diversify. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. And they clearly did. They thought, that the resistance surge in news subscriptions was indefinite, that it would just grow and grow and grow, that it was all that they needed to bet on. And as cable news is finding as well, that's just simply not the case. Now, all that being said, as I mentioned before, Trump's kind of back at the center of everything, so you never know. May work out for them still.
Oh, it probably will, which makes me sad because I don't want Bezos to win. But I will enjoy watching. What I enjoy here is the sanctimony in which these people think of folks like us and, frankly, anybody who's not in the establishment media is unbelievable. And to see them and be able to point to the next time I ever run into them when they're trying to lecture me is like, yeah, how's your business doing? At the end of the day, it's about what people want. And people don't want you. And I think that's a very profound statement. So anytime the market actually does align and show these people that, becoming ideological is actually not good for business, even for the Times. I mean, the fact that you have to float your news organization on cookbooks, that's kind of embarrassing. I'm not saying that doesn't work, but that's not how it was envisioned.
I would edit that a bit. I don't think the problem is becoming ideological. I think the problem is becoming blinded by partisanship.
That's great. That's a good idea.
Values, principles, being honest about those things and what's going on with regards to that. I don't think that's an issue. I think the issue is that so much of their coverage just focused on this one individual. And, as much as the cult of personality around Trump is disturbing and sort of authoritarian and reminds you of North Korea, the opposite of that was equally pernicious and gets back to what we were saying about Trump as the dividing line in our society is a very bad thing, and it made a lot of reporters buy a lot of stories, buy a lot of lies, propagate a lot of lies that ultimately destroyed their credibility. And then once that guy is less central to our politics, well, guess what?
You remember their Mueller book? Their book that they sold all across the country of the Mueller Report, illustrated.
Yeah, the graphic novel.
I should buy that for the show.
Oh, that's a great idea.
They need some money. Maybe we'll buy it for them.
We'll help them out. That's a great idea, Saagar. Just so charitable of you.
Okay.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.